Listen up, sailors. Pour yourself something strong and settle in, because we're about to talk about something that keeps every cruiser awake at night. Not pirates, not storms, not even running aground. No, we're talking about reliability, or more specifically, which boats out there will actually get you home instead of leaving you bobbing around waiting for a tow truck that charges more per hour than your first car cost. Now, before we dive in, let's get real for a second. The idea of a boat that never breaks down is about as realistic as finding a marina with cheap diesel and friendly staff. Boats are designed by engineers, built by humans, and operated in the most corrosive environment on planet Earth. Salt water doesn't care about your dreams or your bank account. It just wants to destroy everything you love. But here's the thing, some boats out there have developed reputations. Not the kind you get from fancy marketing or yacht show spotlights, but the kind earned through decades of getting beat up by the ocean and still showing up for work the next morning. These are the vessels that your insurance company actually smiles about. The ones that make it across oceans, while fancier boats are limping into the nearest port with blown engines and delaminated hulls. We're not here to talk about the latest high-tech speed demons with touchscreen everything and systems so complex you need a software update just to flush the head. We're talking about the workhorses, the blue-collar heroes of the cruising world, the boats built by people who actually understood that when you're 3 days from land and something breaks, you can't just call a technician. You fix it yourself with whatever's in the toolbox and whatever creativity desperation provides. These 5 sailboats have sailed more miles, survived more weather, and outlasted more owners than most modern production boats will ever see. They're not perfect. They're not always pretty. Some of them sail like freight trains going uphill. But they share something more valuable than speed or comfort. They share the ability to keep going when everything else would have quit. And in the world of offshore sailing, that's worth more than all the teak and leather money can buy. So buckle up, because we're counting down 5 legendary vessels that have proven time and time again that the best boat isn't the newest one or the fastest one. It's the one that's still floating when the weather turns nasty and everyone else is on the satellite phone begging for help. If you own one of these, congratulations. You've chosen wisely. If you don't, well, maybe it's time to rethink that shiny new boat with 17 different screens and a maintenance schedule that reads like a pharmaceutical warning label. Number 5, the Hans Christian 33. Let's kick things off with a boat that looks like it sailed straight out of a vintage postcard and into the hearts of serious cruisers everywhere. The Hans Christian 33 is what happens when Taiwanese craftsmen take traditional design seriously and build something that could probably survive a nuclear winter with nothing more than a fresh coat of varnish. This isn't some mass-produced plastic bathtub. This is old-school craftsmanship meeting bulletproof engineering. When you step aboard a Hans Christian, the first thing you notice is the weight. Not the bad kind of weight that comes from hauling around unnecessary garbage, but the good kind. The kind that comes from hulls laid up thick enough to stop small arms fire. The kind that makes you feel like you're standing on something substantial, something that was built by people who understood that the ocean doesn't care about your schedule or your comfort level. It'll throw everything it has at you, and your boat better be ready to take the punch. The design itself is classic to the core. We're talking full keel, heavy displacement, traditional cutter rig. Everything about this boat screams long-distance cruising. The cockpit is deep and protected, perfect for those times when green water is coming over the bow and you're questioning every life decision that led you to this moment. Down below, you'll find teak everywhere. Real teak. Not the fake veneer stuff that peels off after 5 years. The joinery is the kind that makes modern production boats look like they were assembled by a team of drunk monkeys with nail guns. But here's what really matters. The systems on a Hans Christian 33 are simple. Beautifully, wonderfully simple. The wiring makes sense, the plumbing is logical, the engine is accessible without requiring you to dislocate your shoulder or remove half the interior. When something needs fixing, and eventually something always does, you can actually get to it. Revolutionary concept, right? These boats have crossed every ocean worth crossing. You'll find them in the Caribbean, the South Pacific, the Mediterranean. Anywhere serious cruisers go, there's probably a Hans Christian nearby, quietly racking up another few thousand miles, while its owner sits in the cockpit wondering why anyone would ever want a different boat. The Hans Christian 33 isn't trying to win races or impress marina neighbors. It's trying to get you safely from point A to point B, and then to point C through Z if that's what you want. And it will. Year after year, decade after decade, this boat just keeps delivering. Number 4, the Hallberg-Rassy 40. Now we're moving into Scandinavian territory, and if you know anything about Northern European boat building, you know these folks don't mess around. The Hallberg-Rassy 40 represents everything Swedish engineering stands for. Precision, quality, and a complete refusal to cut corners, even when cutting corners would save money and nobody would notice. Except Hallberg-Rassy would notice, and that's what matters. This boat is what happens when you combine thoughtful design with obsessive attention to detail and construction standards that would make other builders weep with inadequacy. Walking around a Hallberg-Rassy 40, you start noticing things. The way every fitting is exactly where it should be. The way the deck hardware is sized for actual use, not just to meet some minimum specification. The way the hull-to-deck joint is done properly, not with some half-baked method that'll start leaking in 5 years. Everything about this boat screams quality, but not in a flashy way. In a quiet, confident way that only comes from actually knowing what you're doing. The center cockpit layout gives you real separation between living spaces, which matters when you're spending months aboard. The aft cabin becomes actual private space, not just a cave you crawl into when you're tired. The saloon feels like a proper living room, not a compromise between 6 different functions. And that engine room, oh, that engine room. It's an actual room. You can walk into it, you can work in it without yoga training. There's light, there's access. It's like someone actually thought about the poor soul who'd eventually need to change the oil or replace a pump. The sailing characteristics are exactly what you'd expect from a well-designed cruiser. It's not going to set any speed records, but it's competent, stable, and forgiving. In heavy weather, it inspires confidence instead of terror. The motion is comfortable. The helm is balanced. Everything works the way it should, which sounds basic, but is actually remarkable. But what really sets the Hallberg-Rassy 40 apart is longevity. These boats age gracefully because they were built right from day one. You'll find 40-year-old examples still cruising, still looking good, still doing exactly what they were designed to do. That's not luck. That's engineering. The systems don't fail catastrophically because they weren't designed on the edge of failure to begin with. There's margin, there's redundancy, there's common sense. When you own a Hallberg-Rassy 40, you're not just buying a boat. You're buying into a philosophy that says doing things right the first time is worth the extra cost and effort. Number 3, the Baba 30. Here's where things get interesting. The Baba 30 takes traditional design principles, wraps them in solid construction, and delivers a package that's probably overbuilt by any rational standard. Except rational standards don't mean much when you're in the middle of the ocean, and the weather forecast just became irrelevant because you're already committed. The Baba 30 is inspired by the Colin Archer design, which means it's got that distinctive double-ender look that either speaks to your soul or leaves you cold. There's no middle ground with this aesthetic, but regardless of how you feel about the appearance, there's no arguing with the capability. This boat was designed to handle the worst the ocean could throw at it, and it shows in every detail. The construction is massive. The hull layup is thick enough to make you wonder if they were planning to bounce off icebergs. The deck is solid fiberglass, not some cord nonsense that'll rot out if water finds its way in. The chain plates are through-bolted to actual structure. The rudder could probably double as a battering ram. Everything is sized not for normal conditions, but for when things go sideways and you need your boat to save your life. Down below, it's cozy in that classic small boat way. You're not getting a palace here. You're getting efficiency and thoughtfulness. Every inch of space is used intelligently. Storage is abundant because the designers understood that cruisers accumulate stuff and need places to put it. The layout works whether you're coastal cruising or crossing oceans. It's not fancy, but it's functional in a way that fancy usually isn't. The sailing characteristics are exactly what you'd expect from a heavy displacement double-ender. It's not quick to accelerate, but once it gets moving, it settles into a rhythm and just keeps going. The motion is easy, the tracking is excellent. In heavy weather, it's a revelation. While lighter boats are getting thrown around, the Baba 30 just plows through, barely noticing the chaos. This is a boat that makes you feel safe, which is a rare and valuable thing. What really matters, though, is reliability. Baba 30s are known for being unkillable. The systems are simple. The construction is so robust that structural failures are virtually unheard of. These boats get neglected, abused, sailed hard, and they just keep working. You'll find them in the most remote corners of the world's oceans, still cruising decades after they were built, still getting their owners home safely. That's not marketing, that's reality. Number 2. The Alberg 30. Now we're getting into true classic territory. The Alberg 30 is small by modern standards, sure, but this boat has more ocean crossing experience and more survival stories than boats twice its size. It's proof that seaworthiness isn't about length or displacement alone. It's about design, construction, and the philosophy behind both. When Carl Alberg designed this boat back in the early 1960s, he understood something that modern designers often forget. A good boat doesn't need to be complicated. It needs to be sound. The Alberg 30 is the essence of that philosophy. Full keel, moderate displacement, traditional lines. Nothing fancy, nothing cutting edge, just honest design executed properly. And that simplicity is exactly why these boats are still sailing today, still crossing oceans, still doing what they were built to do. The construction on these boats varies depending on which builder produced them, but the good ones are solid as granite. Hand-laid fiberglass from an era when people actually cared about doing layups correctly. The deck-to-hull joint is strong. The keel is actually part of the structure, not some bolt-on appendage waiting to fall off. Everything feels substantial because it is substantial. Below deck, space is at a premium. This isn't a floating apartment. It's a proper sailboat that happens to have accommodation. The berths are adequate. The galley works. The head exists. You've got what you need and nothing you don't. For some people, that's limiting. For others, it's liberating. Less stuff means less to break, less to maintain, less to worry about, more time sailing, less time fixing. But here's what really sets the Alberg 30 apart. This boat teaches you how to sail. It's not forgiving in the way modern boats are, with their enormous sail plans and powerful engines. The Alberg 30 requires attention and skill. You need to understand weather, understand sail trim, understand how to make the boat work with you. In return, it'll take you places safely. It'll handle conditions that would terrify owners of bigger, more modern boats. Stories abound of Alberg 30s surviving storms that sank other vessels, of solo sailors taking these little boats across oceans with nothing but determination and good seamanship. These aren't exceptional circumstances. This is just what the boat does. The systems are gloriously simple, because the boat predates the era when every function needed electricity and electronics. Manual windlass, basic electrical system, straightforward rigging. When something breaks, you fix it with basic tools and common sense. No computer diagnostics required, no proprietary parts that cost more than the boat is worth, just honest maintenance on an honest boat. Here it is, the legend. The boat that launched 1,000 dreams and probably saved just as many lives. The Westsail 32 is the ultimate never-breakdown cruiser, and its reputation isn't based on marketing or mystique. It's based on decades of evidence from every ocean on the planet. Yes, it's slow, glacially slow, watching paint dry slow. You will be passed by other boats that left after you and are heading to different destinations. The nickname Westsail is earned and accurate. But here's the thing, speed doesn't matter when you're the only boat that made it. This boat is overbuilt to a degree that seems almost comical until you're out there in conditions that make you question your life choices and you realize that all that extra glass, all that weight, all that beef is the only thing between you and a very bad day. The Westsail 32 is based on the Atkin design, which was already proven for serious offshore work. Then they made it heavier, thicker hull layup, stronger structure, full keel that could probably plow through a coral reef and come out ready for more. This isn't a boat, it's a statement that says survival matters more than speed, reliability matters more than performance, and getting there matters more than getting there fast. The construction is straightforward and massively robust. The hull-to-deck joint is strong enough to be a structural element. The interior is built to last, not to impress. Teak bulkheads, solid joinery, everything screwed and glued like it might need to hold together in a rollover, because it might. The systems are delightfully simple, because the boat was designed in an era when cruisers couldn't rely on complex systems working thousands of miles from anywhere. The rigging is heavy and straightforward. The deck layout is practical. Everything is sized for actual use in actual conditions, not for looking good in a brochure. Down below, the Westsail 32 is cozy in a way that only a heavy displacement cruiser can be. The motion at sea is comfortable because all that weight dampens the chaos. You're not getting thrown around. You're not crashing off waves. You're making slow, steady progress while the boat takes care of you. The layout is traditional and functional. V-berth forward, saloon amidships, quarter berth aft, galley that works at sea, navigation station where you can actually spread out a chart. Everything you need, nothing you don't. But what really sets the Westsail 32 apart, what makes it number one on this list, is the sheer number of miles these boats have logged. Circumnavigations beyond counting, ocean crossings that would fill books, storms survived, disasters averted, year after year, decade after decade, Westsail 32s just keep going. You'll find them in the most remote anchorages, often looking a bit tired, often needing some varnish work, but still floating, still sailing, still getting their owners where they need to go. The community around these boats is exceptional. There's knowledge, there's support, there's a deep understanding that everyone sailing a Westsail is part of something bigger, a tradition of serious cruising on serious boats. When something breaks, someone somewhere has already dealt with it and documented the fix. Parts are available. Systems are understood. This isn't some rare exotic boat where you're on your own. This is a proven platform with decades of collective experience backing it up. The Westsail 32 isn't the right boat for everyone. If you want speed, look elsewhere. If you want modern systems and amenities, keep shopping. But if you want a boat that will absolutely, positively get you across an ocean and back, that will survive conditions other boats won't, that will still be sailing long after fancier vessels are decorating a reef somewhere, then this is your boat. It's number one because it's earned that spot the hard way, through thousands of successful voyages and countless storms survived. So there you have it, 5 sailboats that have proven, beyond any doubt, that reliability isn't about complexity or modern technology. It's about solid design, quality construction, and simplicity. These boats share common characteristics. Heavy displacement that provides stability and comfort, full keels that track straight and forgive mistakes, simple systems that can be maintained anywhere with basic tools, construction quality that doesn't degrade with time. They're not exciting in the way modern boats can be exciting. They don't have impressive performance numbers. They won't win races or turn heads at yacht clubs, but they will get you home every single time. When the weather turns bad, when systems fail on fancier boats, when other sailors are calling for rescue, these boats just keep working. That's not luck. That's design philosophy meeting construction reality. Of course, no boat is truly maintenance-free. Even these legendary vessels require care and attention, but the difference is in what breaks and how fixable it is. On these boats, failures tend to be simple mechanical issues that can be addressed with basic tools and common sense. You're not dealing with electronic modules that cost thousands and require factory technicians. You're dealing with pumps and through hulls and rigging, things that have been understood for decades. If you're shopping for a cruising boat and reliability matters more than speed or comfort or impressing people, these 5 vessels deserve serious consideration. They represent the best of traditional design and construction. They're proven platforms with huge communities of experienced owners. Parts are available. Knowledge is shared. You're not pioneering. You're joining a long tradition of sailors who chose capability over flash. And here's the beautiful thing. These boats are affordable. Not cheap, necessarily, but affordable. You're not paying for the latest technology or luxury finishes. You're paying for solid construction and proven design. That means more money left over for actually sailing, for cruising kitties, for experiencing the world instead of paying for boat payments. Fair winds out there, sailors. May your biggest problem always be too much wind instead of too little. And may your boat be one that gets you home safely, no matter what the ocean throws at you. Because at the end of the day, that's what really matters.